Hello Erin, I thought you would be the first person I would try and interview on my YouTube channel, if you agree.
Hey Kevin, how's it going today? I would love to be interviewed by you on your YouTube channel, so thank you very much for asking me.
I have cerebral palsy with a bad speech problem. Technology has caught up with my disability. I record edit video with my head pointer, and Siri narrates. My camera angles are sometimes bad because my head pointer and camera don't play nice. I'm a contemporary dancer, life model, performance artist. I have visited Australia, India. I'm a lifelong Liverpool fanatic and I DJ. Come see my reality. I first met Erin when she interviewed me about my performance piece at Plymouth University. Erin is one of the most natural and engaging broadcasters on today's streaming media. I genuinely believe Erin will be a household name within 10 years.
That is very kind of you to say those things. I really appreciate that. It's brilliant going out and doing my job and getting to meet people like yourselves, because you are also equally, actually, if not more, fantastic. And I think all of the work that you do, your music, your dancing, your performance pieces, it's amazing. And I love keeping up to date with what you're doing. So I'm very pleased to be involved in this, which is your latest project.
Firstly, can you explain who you are, who you work for and what your role is?
Yes, that would probably be a good place to start, wouldn't it? So my name is Erin Black. I work for Plymouth Live, which is the local online version of the newspaper in Plymouth. My job it's a bit of a wibbly wobbly title. It changes almost every week, but it's largely to do with producing video content for the Plymouth Live website and also taking pictures as well, doing some Facebook Lives, just trying to keep people entertained and engaged and up to date with the news in Plymouth through the medium of video, basically.
Do you consider yourself to be a journalist, a multimedia reporter or a video journalist?
That is a good question. I probably would say I consider myself more as a multimedia journalist these days. I have never considered myself properly as an actual journalist, because quite simply I've not had the same training that a lot of my colleagues have had. So they all go to university and study journalism and make their way into the industry that way, whereas I studied media and film at university and kind of came into journalism through the back door, really. So I used to call myself a video journalist because I was just doing video, and I tagged journalist on the end because I was working for a newspaper. But I think you're right in offering up multimedia journalist as an option, because I also take pictures and help out on podcasts and all sorts of things these days. So yes, a bit of a mixed bag.
Do you think video reporting has become more essential throughout the two lockdowns?
I do think video reporting and video journalism in particular has become more important over the two lockdowns this year. I think partly because with people not being able to go outside, it's a lot easier to actually show them what's happening and show them news, because it can get quite a lot. It can get quite overwhelming if you're just constantly putting words and figures and statistics in front of people. So I think video journalism has been something that people have really latched onto this year, to really kind of see and be part of everything that's going on.
Now people are at home. Do you find that you interact with people's questions more whilst you are streaming?
Yes, so I'm at home now, and I've been at home since the end of March, I think. So it's been pretty much all of 2020, and yeah, I am finding that I interact with people a lot more. I do a lot more streaming, live streaming on Facebook mostly, and yeah, it's really nice to actually interact with people in the comments and listen to what they have to say, and giving feedback, because of course with me working from home, I'm on my own quite a lot as well. So right in the first lockdown, that was really important for me to actually have that kind of human interaction, even though it's through a screen, with other people. So yeah, I really really enjoy that part of it, and it's nice when you get good feedback. It's not so nice when you get bad feedback from people, but I think it's also important to interact with those comments too. I didn't used to do it so much at the beginning. I'm a little bit more hardy in lockdown 2 now, so if somebody is being kind of deliberately mean, I will acknowledge it and kind of question why someone feels the need to say those things and act that way, which I think is important, that we should all kind of hold each other accountable and just try and do things for the better rather than to make things worse.
Has lockdown changed you as a journalist?
I think lockdown has changed me in a journalist, if I can call myself that. It's certainly changed how I approach things. There's a lot more that you have to be kind of self-conscious of with this era of COVID. You know, I have to look at a story, figure out whether I should be covering it in person, whether I can do it over the phone, what kind of stories I'm looking at. It's also changed, I don't know, it's almost changed how, like I was just saying before, how people are interacting with things. So I often think about that as well now. If I'm writing a story, I think kind of all the way to the end point. How are people gonna take this? So there's been a couple of stories that I was looking at doing, and I actually didn't, because I thought, really, if somebody's going to read that during lockdown, that might not go down very well. I should save it for afterwards when things are a little bit more normal. So yeah, it's definitely been a learning curve.
Are there any stories during lockdown that you are proud of making, even though they might have been challenging or very serious?
God, do you know what? I was trying to think about this earlier. I don't tend to do as many kind of groundbreaking articles as a lot of my colleagues, because they're more professional and they are more professional, but they're a lot more established journalists. They have a lot more experience than me. So I kind of leave them to do that, and then I would just assist them when it comes to video or photos. So having said that though, there are still some articles that I've either done on my own or been part of with other people that I've been really proud of. So I remember right at the beginning of lockdown, me and my colleague Stuart, we did a story with a man who was living in one of the Devonport Tower blocks, and talking to him about how difficult his life was with the new lockdown. You know, he couldn't go outside, he couldn't see his family, he was trapped on the 50th floor of a block of flats, and there was no garden, and all the mental health repercussions about that. And then from that, we actually launched a campaign at Plymouth Live called the Four Walls campaign, where we raised money for a variety of different charities to help support people through that first lockdown, which was actually really tough on a lot of people. And looking back, it just seems like this year has stretched so far that it's hard to put myself back there, but I remember that it was really difficult. And so I was doing these pub quizzes on Facebook and asking people to donate like £2 entry fee in essence, and putting them towards these charities, and we raised over £2,000 over the course of 4 quizzes. So that's something that I was very proud of, and actually seeing the impact on that. And then another thing I was very proud of is putting out this schedule every single day for the first lockdown on Facebook, where it was either a tutorial, an exercise class, a cooking class, a quiz, watching a sunset, watching fish at the aquarium, just something to keep people entertained over lockdown, just for half an hour, just to take themselves out of whatever was happening in real life and just having a chill out and getting away from it all. And I'm really pleased that we did that. I'm trying to do it again at the moment for lockdown 2, but God, it's Christmas is coming. Everything gets dark at about 4:00. It's a bit more difficult, but yeah, it's nice to see people watching your stuff and hopefully knowing that you've tried to make a difference.
Now I would like you to tell the viewers about the report you did on my performance at Plymouth University. To explain, Bare disability is an exploration into people's perception of, conception and comprehension of the nude severely disabled body. My performance gives complete freedom to a single audience member to explore my body and its emotional intelligence, in any way they wish. Would you talk about your thoughts, concerns and emotions of reporting bare disability, before, during and after conducting the interview?
Yes, so I've got to cast my mind back now about 2 years. So bare disability, I think I heard about it because you messaged the Plymouth Live Facebook page, or I saw it on Facebook, something like that. And I saw it and I recognised your name because when I was at university, I think I used to see you around campus, or somebody did a photo shoot with you. And I remember seeing you on Facebook as Disabled Kevin. And I was like, surely that's a joke. Like, that can't really be somebody's Facebook name. And when bare disability came around, I was like, oh my God, no, that's how he goes on Facebook. Like, that's Disabled Kevin. Like, that's the persona. That's how it all works. And so I was quite nervous going into the house where you were based to meet you and to do the story on it, because my experience with disabled people is very limited. I probably had only maybe interacted with a handful of people with severe disabilities before, and I was really worried that I wouldn't be able to understand you. Also the fact that your performance involved you being naked, I was like, that's crazy. So yeah, I was actually really nervous. But what was the most surprising thing for me is that when I went into the room with you and met you, and even though you were naked, I was convinced that would be a really, really bizarre scenario, but it was actually completely normal. Like, I did not bat an eyelid. And that was the most surreal moment for me. But I think what was really important about that and about you doing that is that you had literally stripped yourself down to the very essence of being a human being. And despite our differences and, gender, ability, you were just another, it was very clear to see you were just another person. So all of my preconceptions went out the window. And initially, it was a little bit difficult for me to understand you. And I think you had your spelling board. And there was also another lady there, wasn't there, who helped me to understand what you were saying. But then, like you say, the more time that you spend with you, the easier it is to actually understand you. And from then I was like, this is brilliant. And I remember you did a little video of me on your iPad, and I just felt really privileged that I had been the one to pick up the story and had been able to go down and cover it and write it, especially, and then post it afterwards, and seeing all the comments that people were leaving on the article saying, oh, I've seen Disabled Kevin around town, like, this is amazing, like, I always wondered about him, what a cool guy. I just felt really privileged to be a part of that and get to know you as a person through doing that.
Your piece when it was posted was excellent. I loved it, and many people contacted me because of your report. Was it challenging to put together because of the performance content?
So challenging to put together. I don't think it was that challenging to put together. I think beforehand, the idea of it, the concept of it, was really difficult, because I was thinking, what the hell am I going to do? But then after I met you, I was like, Disabled Kevin, you are quite literally a legend in Plymouth. This is going to be perfect, because everybody knows you without knowing you. So I just knew it was something that people were going to be interested in, and I really enjoyed writing it. And the only maybe remote element of it that was, I don't even want to say difficult, because it wasn't, but it was just going through my video footage and making sure that I didn't accidentally put a clip of you being properly naked in the video, because we'd have probably got in trouble for that.
Do you miss the old normal of reporting on garden centres, school Christmas plays and weird art performances?
I do miss the old normal, and I don't. I think a lot of the content we're doing now is a little bit more thought out perhaps, because we're a bit restricted and there's limitations of what we can and can't do. I think we think about it a lot more. But at the same time, I do miss the freedom of just being able to pick up my camera and go somewhere if something's happening, and not be thinking, have I got my mask? Have I got hand gel? You know, are there going to be lots of people there? And, you know, and there's some things now that I can't attend in person, and I would love to as press, because, you know, there's not enough space to socially distance or things like that. So it's a bit of a catch-22, but I think what I've learned from this lockdown will be more beneficial going forward whenever things are going to be back to normal, and using it again then. I think I'll have a better appreciation for it, but I am looking forward to normalness again.
Finally, does your editor sit thinking, where can I send Erin next? Because I have seen you streaming from a freezing cold, snowy Dartmoor, from the seafront as a storm approaches, and the Barbican as the pub shut at 10 p.m. Laugh out loud.
Yeah. No, honestly, sometimes they actually do sit there and think, what can Erin do next? Sometimes they say, you think of something yourself, or other times they'll think of the craziest thing they can, and they'll go, yeah, I know who's good for that. So yeah, like you said, as soon as a little bit of snow hits Dartmoor, send me off. There was that time I had to sit in a coffee shop and just watch the sundial for 4 hours. Might have even been longer, maybe 8 hours. But, you know, anyway, just bizarre, ridiculous stuff. It always ends up being me. But having said that, I'm glad they do, because I think I possibly have the most varied job of everybody that I work with, and I very much do enjoy that.
Thank you for chatting to Disabled Kevin.
And thank you very much for chatting to me too. I am feeling very honoured to be your first YouTube guest, and I look forward to watching this whole video when it goes out. So thank you very much, Kevin. It is brilliant to chat to you, and brilliant chatting to you always. I'm looking forward to seeing whatever you've got coming up next, and who you've got coming up next. See you later.
Please like, comment on this video and hit subscribe on my YouTube channel to be notified of new videos. Thank you very much. I'm Disabled Kevin on YouTube, Instagram and Facebook.